Thursday, May 25th. I consume a massive amount of information through books and podcasts, and then only regurgitate a small fraction, so maybe this will be some sort of tiny summary in regards to the whole cosmic disclosure, the cosmic history piece, and the little bit that I've learned there within. As far as I can tell right now, there seem to be two main branches of teachings that I've discovered. The one would be the Keylontic science, as put forth by Ashyana Deane, and Dr. Jere, who is sharing his version with quantum morphogenetic physics, which is either the next level, the next iteration, or the child of Keylontic. And then Randi Green's work, which she's just termed Hall, Higher Awareness Lifestyle, or Higher Awareness Living. I'm not sure there's a specific technical term associated with the branch that she is teaching. These represent, this is my interpretation, so bear with me, these represent different perspectives, as in, say, different race line histories. These races would be in addition or beyond the human race. So I'm at a point where I'm working with information where it's not a debate as to whether or not there are aliens. It's taken as fact, and then these branches of science are seeking to explain the differences found within. So there are different race lines, different entities with very specific details regarding the aliens. It is not just the Anunnaki. It's much more nuanced and yet broad in scope. In the same way, someone might say, oh, there are animals. And a more specific scientist would say, well, yes, we have these different genus types. You know, looking at bugs, mammals, birds, reptiles, and then found within those you have all these different subgenus types, you know, the canines, whatever giraffe falls into the horse group, etc., etc. And then you got all these Latin names, right? It's huge. There's a lot going on. That is my understanding with the non-terrestrials as well. And joined with that, remember that video about the container? Okay, this is all outside the container. A part of that is trying to open your mind to absorb the information or the ideas that the reality we as we know ourselves as humans, and then there are subhuman groups, and that might be the wrong term, split or hybridized human groups. So you could call it true humans, pure humans, real humans. Pure might have the wrong connotation. Then you've got humanoids, which would be hybrids. Okay. Anyway, the general we in this matrix reality or base program, whatever you want to think of it as, on Earth, the average person watching this would say all the people of Earth. We have our known sciences and the laws found within weak force, strong force, gravity, right? I like to use the word law to refer to something like gravity more Anyway, I digress. Think of the law of gravity. That is a part of our known science. The magnetic force, right? So allow yourself to first just say, okay, I'll go with you here. Other entities, beings, things do exist, and it's not just like some amoeba in a block of ice 100 miles down into Mars. No, something of consciousness, of intellect, similar to or beyond what we conceive ours as human. You can split the hairs on the level of consciousness when looking at it through the lens of morality and ethics, but certainly through a technological prowess. So these beings, we call them non-terrestrials if you think of humans as a terrestrial. These non-terrestrials not only exist, but there's a myriad of different racial lineages throughout time, throughout the universe, the galaxy, the cosmos, etc. And from where they come, or within the dimensions that they operate, dimensions is also a contentious issue, and I'm not about to be able to explain each facet of it, but you can kind of think of a dimension as another layer or level of reality that is otherwise imperceptible or invisible within the faculties that we have within our third dimension. So it could literally be in front of your face, but you not see it because it is vibrating at a different energetic level. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if anything else, it's things that exist that we can't see. Okay? So another dimension doesn't have to be far away. It can still be here. Okay? So within these other dimensions, or from the point of origin where these non-terrestrials came from or exist, there are also other sciences, other laws and principles by which they operate and by which their governing system, meaning their, if you were to think of our planet as a governing system, right? Got the Earth there above us, the atmosphere, and then beyond that what we call space, right? If we just think of our enclosed area as our governing system, where gravity has a force, magnetism, etc. Okay, these are wild ideas, right? And you don't even have to believe me, just as long as it makes sense what I'm putting forth. So, if you were to be able to learn and study these other sciences that apply to, and let's say they just apply to the other non-terrestrials, one of the names of that would be called the Keylontic science, and that's what Ashyana Deane was teaching. Although technically it applies to not just the non-terrestrials in other dimensions, but it also applies to us. We just are not aware of it. It's the inner workings, outer workings of the mechanisms of reality beyond our third dimension based program. Fucking fascinating stuff. And this is not easy to understand, not just because the subject matter is complicated and new, but also what it is suggesting of our known reality, and of course all the paradigms associated with that. So I'm going through yet another version of, especially with Randi Green's work, which again is another perspective, another branch, interpretation of sciences, because the way she describes it is there are subjective realities. Best way I could put it is, imagine all the scientific laws that govern this planet suddenly and very slowly came right up next to a planet from somewhere completely different. Somehow we met in neutral ground, and they had absolutely, completely different scientific laws, whatever you want to come up with, that govern their system. And imagine they just got right next to each other, and each one was going to like open a door to the other and let the scientific governing laws of the one kind of float into the other. Okay, it's that kind of abstract idea of a subjective reality where that is real and true within the confines of your system or dimension, and yet there could exist different, if not completely opposite, laws governing another system in another reality. You know, very Star Trek in that nature. And the more I get into Randi's work, I'm having this Neo waking up in the Matrix again, even though I've been primed for this through the last few years of research and discovery, because what she's putting forth is suggesting damn near complete abandonment of all the things I've already learned thus far, notwithstanding some of the other cosmic history disclosure pieces. I have yet to reconcile much of that information. But this is going to be a pretty wild concept. Imagine that our understanding of gravity and the electromagnetic force, we can specifically focus on the electromagnetic force, which is what we understand underpins like all of our energetic flux, all of our energy here on this planet. Imagine that is merely a stepped down, regressed science that was inserted into our planetary base program as part of what we would think of as the Matrix. Fucking far out, right? Okay, that's where I'm at. I'm not gonna go any deeper. I'm getting close to the destination. This is just kind of this was an attempt to set some of the base framework of what I've been studying in regards to the potential of what exists beyond us, around us, you know, even within us, as above, so below, as within, so without. But these notions that, okay, not only do non-terrestrials exist, but they're here, they've been here, and there are different realities that they're a part of, that we're a part of, that we have forgotten or that are hidden from us. And included within that, which is not just like the bastardized version of history we've been given, and then all these control systems, religion, government, etc., that I've spoken on before, but also what we would think of as like immutable sciences. Even those are on the table to be re-understood and seen from a different perspective. You know, if everything else has been distorted and inverted and part of a lie, then you have to allow for the possibility that even the science, we trust the science, you know, science is infallible. Well, it's a process, but if you were to zoom out from zooming out beyond the containers, you know, get outside the container even holding the one you thought you were leaving, and say, oh man, there's so much here yet I don't know and understand. But possibly there's some people trying to share that information. And if you were at all curious, you would go look up Keylontic science, by Ashyana Deane. And yeah, there's a bit of a story with all that, and it suggested that her work became distorted maybe around 2012. Her two main books is Voyagers and Voyagers 1. I'd still recommend reading it, definitely with an open mind, and a super open mind if you're brand new to all this, and then hear Randi Green's work, which is offering yet another perspective of subjective reality to explain what's happening here within ours. So, go check it out.